Hey guys, welcome to Around the Emirates podcast with Sara Mousa, where I speak to guests from across the UAE about topics you want to hear about. Today, I'm joined by special guest Mohamed Khaled. Hi, Mohamed.
Hello. Super happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me. So, Mohamed is CEO and founder of Hotdesk, a tech platform that provides co-working and remote working spaces and enables hybrid work right here in the UAE. How awesome is that, right?
Thank you very much. So first of all, just before we start, right, I think we want to say that, we super love what you do, right? It's super interesting to have a lens around the Emirates and really look at, what's cooking in the homegrown sort of geography, and happy to be part of it.
That is very sweet of you. I swear to God, I did not pay him to say that. I promise. That was him who said it from himself.
I'm joking.
Don't lie. Don't lie on my show. Cool. So, Mohamed, I understand that you started this company at a really young age as an entrepreneur, even when you had a full-time job and a family. So please tell me more about your story and how Hotdesk came to be.
100%. So yeah, I'll kick off with a quick sort of background of me and and how this sort of came to be. So again, Dublin born Egyptian, lived in Cairo all my life. So studied accounting and finance, and then sort of found myself into PwC, right, which is the world's largest audit and consulting firm. So I started with them in 2014, and it was just a hammer, right? We just started and working, and it was like 14-hour work days. It was insane. On the first day at PwC, I also met my future to be wife. And I ended up getting married pretty early. So I got married when I was 23. I have two kids now.
I mean,
So that was sort of, again, the start and how I sort of got into that realm of consulting and audit. So I started off in Cairo, Abu Dhabi, then Dubai, Doha in the middle. I was primarily a regional resource, so I was always traveling around as a consultant. And I think the eureka moment behind this is, so one late night, I was just working at an office in another country. And so whenever we travel, right, you just go to a new city you haven't been before, you take out your PwC ID and just open the door, right? And it will open up. You walk in, and it's exactly the same brand, same look and feel. You had a sense of where the coffee machine was, your
right.
Wi-Fi was
same setup, yeah.
Yeah, and then it just hit me that I had the power to access offices in 158 countries around the world with a single ID. And how do I bring this to the masses? So yeah, that's just a bit about how we started.
Wow. I mean, it's an interesting concept how, like, obviously remote working, like hybrid working is the new feature of the workforce, right? So this is something post-pandemic that people will do. You can no longer force people. I mean, most companies no longer can force people to come to the office 5 days a week. And some people are more productive at home. So it's really cool that you decided to kind of bring this to the masses, as you said now, like knowing that the pandemic was actually almost an opportunity for you to really bring to the people what you saw was actually a proper concept. So that's pretty cool in itself.
So the funny thing was, this idea was actually born in May 2019, so way before the pandemic.
Oh,
So the funny thing is, so initially me and my co-founders thought that we brought the pandemic on, right? Because we just decided to do this. Our launch date was first launch date, right? We were still part-time. We didn't have any money. We were working our full-time jobs and doing this at night. And we launched in January 2020 for the first time. And then whack, the pandemic comes in. But the interesting thing is, like you said, right? The whole world became our target audience. But if I just double click on that thought and zoom in a little bit. So it wasn't as quick of a conversion as it seems, right? Because initially, pre-pandemic, it was just 100% work from office all the time. So there was no result to solve. You just woke up, went to the office, that was it. Then during the pandemic itself, right? Again, a lot of the outlooks were like, are we going to continue like this forever? Are we going to be remote forever? Because it was 100% work from home. Unless it's a specific industry where, again, like you're building a building, right? You have to be there in person, but everything else was at home. There was a mass adoption of remote work technologies, again, which is a bit different from hybrid work in a sense. And then the whole world went into that for a while. We realized that it would take time for us to then come out of that phase and go to what we call work 3.0, which is, a twilight zone of hybrid, where the office, home, and co-working sort of all coexist, right? And but yeah, so pandemic was our doing, I think.
I mean, it's insane. It's all right. It's all right. My listeners do have a sense of humor. Don't worry. But it is actually insane how opportune that must have been for you. And it's not just the fact that you were able to start a business like, but with your friends and working overnight. Like that was one thing that is super inspiring to me. But also the fact that you're able to actually like help so many people, right? With the pandemic and companies are just trying to still figure out what does remote working mean? What is hybrid working? How do I do that? How do I make sure that everything runs smoothly with my business in order for us to continue to stay awake, or I guess open awake. But cool. So my next question is more kind of around the challenges and the obstacles that you face. I know you just said that you're kind of working super late with your friends, etc. What do you feel was the biggest challenge to help bring Hotdesk to life?
So I think a really interesting challenge was, right, that you had to kind of peek into the future, right, and sort of believe in yourself and keep going, even if everyone around you thinks otherwise, right? So again, starting this, being at PwC in the morning, right, doing 14-hour shifts of work, right, and going home, putting my kids to sleep, everyone's thought was that, this is impossible. You cannot do this. You cannot kickstart it part-time, right? You have to go full-time, right? And again, being in Dubai, etc., you sometimes you can't just leave your job and sort of fully jump in. So
Right.
we had to face chicken or egg problem all the time, right? So we want to build, but to build, let's say we need money, but to get the money, you kind of have to have the product ready first, and then have some customers. To get the customers, you need the spaces. To get the spaces, you need customers, right? So it was always a chicken or egg problem. But our methodology on how we did it, we always just did it piece by piece, right? We didn't go too fast. It wasn't too insane. Well, it is kind of insane, but I think we just did it step by step and kind of just kept building, right? And again, while everyone in the world was saying, you know what, no, we're staying remote forever, right? We don't believe, again, the office is dead. We don't believe home working will die, right? I think all three, home, office, and co-working, will exist as a real estate spectrum for us to use, right? But we just had to stick to that thought and sort of building sort of towards it. And yeah, just believe in yourself and keep going. I think that was a challenge. And the second one was honestly the ability to, again, just continue to believe in yourself as you launch. So we launched and went full time, right? September 21, right? That was golden month, where we said, right, we're going full at it, and it's time to grow the business.
I see.
So a month before we go live, me and my co-founders are thinking, right, is anyone actually going to use this, right? Are we actually going to get any bookings? Let's go and see. And then we had 15 bookings the first month. So I said,
wow,
okay, we were lucky, and this is not going to happen again, right? And then the month after was about 54 bookings.
I
so we
see.
were like, maybe, but for sure, we're lucky, and this isn't going to happen again. But right now,
luck.
15 months later, we're doing over 10,000 bookings a month in 40 countries and 170 cities around the world. Team has grown from 5 people to 52 across 9 countries. Dubai, Dublin, Cairo, and Singapore, London, Barcelona, India, Pakistan, Saudi, and I think we haven't even started. So it's that challenge of believing yourself. Yeah.
No, for sure. I think that you are your biggest cheerleader, right? So you are the one that will take you forward the hardest. You are the one that will really motivate you, because if you as a person don't want to do it, or you feel like you can't continue, then there's no passion behind it. But I do want to take a quick step back and just understand the process. So someone makes a booking, what happens next?
So essentially, so I'll take a step back to that on what Hotdesk is, right? So Hotdesk initially started off as the Airbnb of office spaces, right? So essentially the typical conundrum is, the co-working market is so large. So people might not know it, but the WeWorks of this world, etc., control a very minute market share of total space, right? There's thousands of spaces that are just amazing, but you might not know of them, that they are around you, right? It's a super fragmented market. So what Hotdesk initially did was, and we still do, but we have other verticals, is we aggregate this market of co-working spaces all the way to your fingertips, right? So basically, as a end user, you can take out your phone, you could say, I want a desk, a meeting room, or an office for an hour, a day, month, or year, anytime, anywhere, right? So you could pull out your phone now and book a space in Singapore or London or Cairo or wherever you want to be, right? And the idea is you pay for what you need, right? You don't need that super long, lease commitment with capex and investing into furniture and waiting time. So let's say again, you're launching a market as a company super quick. You have 5 to 10 people. You want to launch tomorrow. You want them to meet twice a week. Bam, you book a meeting room twice a week or whatever, and it's done. As a freelancer, so we even have students on the app, right? Students, freelancers, graphic designers, right? That wanna be in a certain environment for inspiration and productivity. You have a salesperson that wants to close a deal and meet their client, but not in a Starbucks or a...
Yeah.
So think about it, the largest co-working space in the world is Starbucks, right? But it's just geared towards work, right? The tables are so round and tight, not much space to save your laptop, no charger slot. You have, kids around you, you're not... But with Hotdesk, you get into the zone or the Zen zone, right? Mentally and physically, right? Finding a space, but also finding your mental space to kind of carry out creativity. So that's what Hotdesk does without complicating it, because we have 3-4 other verticals that are just...
I'm sure you do. No, but the fact that you described it as like the Airbnb thing, that for me is really interesting. That is so cool. So I could just call you and say, hey, I need to go work in like, I don't know, Malaysia tomorrow, and then you could just set up a space for me in Malaysia or whatever country you operate in that is included in this, and then I could just go
without
there.
even calling. You just pull out your phone and it's done.
That's amazing.
You just click a few buttons.
That's amazing. Wow. So I guess knowing that you're in so many different countries and that you've grown so much, you must have some kind of funny story to tell me about this journey,
baby. so it's not typically funny. It's just weird, right? How so many coincidences have happened to enable this to come, right? And I think, right, my sort of vision on this whole thing is, you do what you need to do, right? Be it, your motivation and discipline. But again, motivation is like a shower, right? If you don't shower for a couple of days, you get dusty, right? You need to shower again. You need to continuously motivate yourself, but it's more again about discipline and doing things, that you have to do regardless if you feel like doing them or not. But that being said, I do also believe again that everything around us is God sent, right? And there's a big element of what happens around you. So just as an example, right? So I'm on leave in Cairo. A friend of mine that has been living in Barcelona for a couple of years is also on leave, and we meet by complete coincidence, right? And we're just talking about this. And he lives in Spain. We haven't talked in years, and it's just funny. And I had just started sort of on my own, and then just talking to my wife, and she's like, hey, why don't you call him? Sarab could actually be your co-founder. He's pretty cool. And I talked to him and I tell him, listen, man, we're going to do this. We're going to do it in Cairo. He's like, yeah, but I'm going to have to move back to Barcelona. I'm like, no. But he's like, well, we can do it everywhere in the world. I was like, oh, yeah. And then he sort of joined us, right? And then, me at PwC walking around, another colleague of mine, Shwiki, who's our other co-founder, says like, when are we going to quit our jobs and have a business? And I'm like, man, if you have money, let's do it. He's like, but what do you mean? I said, well, if you have a bit of money, I have this idea and let's do it. And now, here we are. That's literally just because I crossed this table. And then last but not least, I, again in Cairo, again on leave, just in just walking around some restaurants, and I see our, last co-founder, Hamza, our CTO. And I meet him, and he's closing up his startup, and he's about to leave for Dublin to join Google. And just that moment of meeting him and reconnecting from our university days, and then continuing the conversation later, brings this to life. So I think the funny thing is, right, a lot of people look at, again, any success story, and I'm not saying that we are a success story, right? We hold ourselves accountable. We think it's super early. We're not judging that we've done something. Whatever we've done is nothing compared to what we want to accomplish, right? And we're going for that. But many people will look at a LinkedIn post or an announcement or fundraising or any success story. It doesn't have to be startup related. And they'll just think like, yeah, it's this, just go for it and it's done. No, it's not, right? There's a high degree of, again, luck. Yeah, right. Everything is God said. There's a high degree of, again, discipline, working from the shadows, building at night, working without money, building, convincing people, trying to fundraise, failing. trying to recruit team members, thinking of it 24/7, day and night, dreaming of it, waking up, thinking of solutions, right? It's so much deeper, right? And it takes a toll on, again, sometimes your mental health, sometimes your family, but sometimes it's then amazing because you break free from the shackles, right? You unlock yourself. And to sort of wrap this piece up, I think, so initially we thought of Hotdesk as a prop tech, right? Because spaces, people, like typical.
Right.
But in reality, it's productivity tech, right? Because if I think about it, if I open Instagram now or TikTok, I'm probably doodling, right? I'm just like scrolling. But everybody on Hotdesk is getting things done, right? It's either somebody wants a space to work from, somebody that's studying and needs a closed room or for private tutoring or whatever, maybe, a company that's expanding, somebody closing a sales deal or an investor deal, somebody wants a quiet space. Everybody on Hotdesk opens the app with the intention of getting things done. So when you think of what we sell, we do not sell desks, right? We sell productivity, inspiration, and networking. And we are so happy that, like with over 10,000 instances just last month, and I hope we continue to grow and look back at this podcast and say, what a small number and why did I mention it? I hope. But more than 10,000 instances of people, we're doing things, moving forward with their lives, right? Motivating themselves, getting things done, crossing tasks off a list, and moving forward. And, we're super happy to be part of this, but I think it's just, you just got to do what you do and the rest comes from God, if that makes any sense.
You are a master. You are a master.
Thank you. No.
Wow. I don't even have any more questions for you. You've literally just said everything that my listeners would love to hear. And I am so just happy for you just to see you speak from the heart and just be so authentic in what you do. And I truly do admire that.
No, thank you very much. And again, anytime you or your listeners are around One Central in Dubai, right next to the, Museum of the Future, pass by our new office. We're about to announce its launch. It's the Hotdesk HQ. Yeah, right.
Nice.
So you see, we have an office of our own. It's a pretty tight one, right? Because we use it. We practice what we preach. We have a team that's larger than the office size, but we practice hybrid work. We work from here sometimes. A couple of days a week, we'll work from a co-working space or home or one of our clients' offices for our enterprise deals, etc. And really, our other product that I won't get into now really enables all of this to happen under one umbrella. But we'll keep this for the next episode.
Part 2 coming soon to a podcast.
Just assuming I'm on the next episode.
Awesome. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today, Mohamed. Honestly, I've learned so much from, I guess, the things that I didn't realize that we actually needed. Like, you didn't know about it, like you needed it until you heard about it. And honestly, I think that everyone can benefit from something like Hotdesk. And like you said, it's not just about like a desk and a chair. It's about what is the best and most productive space for you to get things done in. And I think that's amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, Sarah. What you're doing is super inspiring and very happy to be here. And again, looking forward to see you in person.
Yes, for sure. Definitely. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you next weekend. Bye.
Well, bye.